All right. Hi, everyone. I hope you guys can hear me. My name is Ryan Francis. I'm joined today by my partner, Tom, and we're going to be talking about, how you can extend Salesforce with custom apps. We both are partners at a company called Launchpad Lab in Chicago. We're a dev shop focused on helping our customers and a lot of Salesforce clients be able to create custom apps, custom mobile, custom web, and ultimately integrate that back into Salesforce, which we're going to talk a little bit about today. So just to sort of get kicked off here, before we get too far into talking about custom apps, I want to take a step back and first just talk about what we mean by the term app. So a lot of people think about mobile apps when they hear this term, but really there's this whole ecosystem, this whole world we've all experienced. Anytime we've logged into Facebook.com, anytime you log into your Salesforce organization, you're really logging into a web app. And so there are as many, if not more, web apps out there as there are mobile apps. And so when you hear the word app, just remember that we're thinking about the whole ecosystem of apps, which is far beyond mobile. In terms of going down the path of building a custom app, the first step really is to figure out, is building the right option in the first place. We call this the build versus buy decision. And I want to talk through some of the factors that you need to think through when you're making this decision. So if you're debating on whether or not to build or buy, the biggest factor is really how unique the problem is. So if you have a really unique problem, likely you'll need to build a solution because there probably isn't one that already exists. The second biggest factor is really whether or not this solution, this application, is going to be customer facing or internal to your organization. So if you're building a product that your customers are going to interact with, you're likely going to want to incorporate your brand and really hone the user experience to be top notch. This would require custom code, and so you would need to build instead of buy. Along with that is whether or not it's revenue generating. If it's a product that you're releasing to the world, it's likely going to generate revenue. And as a result, you'll want to go ahead and build that custom. The other two variables are really cost and timeline. So if you need the product, if you need the software, I should say, right away, then you'll likely just need to buy something off the shelf. But if you can wait a little bit, then it normally takes at least 3 months to build a fairly complex application. So you just need to be able to wait at least 3 months for that. The size of your budget also makes something to consider. Building definitely costs more money. Since you're writing all the code custom, it's going to cost above $100,000 for a very complex application. So keep in mind your budget as you're making this decision. Now, Salesforce offers a ton of products, and so really they're putting you to buy, which is if you looked on this slide and you thought, well, I really think we can buy for this application, Salesforce is putting you in a good position to do that. They have way more products than I could possibly list on this slide, but at the end of the day, they also have App Exchange, which is an ecosystem of thousands of apps for you to choose from. So I definitely encourage you, check out the products that Salesforce has just to be familiar, especially if you're trying to debate on building versus buying, because there oftentimes are solutions that already exist that can fit your needs. And so you want to start by looking there. However, when all of the options, all the products that Salesforce has and that other products out there don't meet your needs, Salesforce does still have you covered. They have a ecosystem called the Salesforce platform. And the Salesforce platform, the biggest flagship product that they offer is called Lightning. And this is a point-and-click app builder. So essentially, if you're trying to build an app for your internal team, you can use Lightning to have your team, essentially an admin on your team or something, can go through and build out the app with a point-and-click editor. So the takeaway here is, well, if you don't want to go down the path of having developers, you can build apps with a point and click tool called Lightning. But it really is designed for more internal facing. It's more of an internal facing tool. So you really, the apps should that are made by Lightning are most likely going to be used by your internal employees as opposed to your customers. And the other factor here is, like, with Lightning, you're pretty limited in your design and your functionality because you are using a point and click editor. And so there's just limitations that you need to be aware of here. So if at the end of it, you decide, I really need to go fully custom, that's where this product that Salesforce offers called Heroku comes in. And just to take a step back from all of Salesforce's products, this one is really quite different. It's unlike the CRM and these other products, it's not something you can just buy and start using. It's really a platform that you build on top of. And when we talk about custom apps, I want to give an example just to help you think about what we mean by custom app. Basically, imagine that you're a car insurance company, and we want our visitors on our website to be able to request a quote to be able to get car insurance. So this is like similar to if you were to go through Geico's website and request a quote. The process for requesting a quote is actually quite complicated. There's a lot of factors that go into an insurance quote. And so we want to make this as easy as possible on the website with a slick three-step form. Essentially, when the visitor completes this form, we want to automatically create an opportunity in Salesforce. And so down below, you can kind of see this process of the 3 steps that we need to essentially create. So in terms of implementing this, there's a lot of steps that go into implementing a custom app like this. We have to set up servers. We have to write deployment scripts and manage our load balancers. These are all things you don't necessarily need to know what they mean, but just know that there's a lot of infrastructure that goes into building a custom app. And at the end of the day, we have to actually write the app code, which is the 3 forms themselves, for our customers to be able to go in and go through the process of requesting a quote. Fortunately, Heroku takes the majority of infrastructure off of our plate. So these infrastructure items that you see crossed out here, we don't need to worry about with Heroku. It takes care of it for us. So essentially, our developers can focus on what really matters most, which is the application. So we can actually, as developers, we can focus on writing those 3 forms that the customer is going to interact with, instead of all the setting up a bunch of servers and managing this infrastructure that the customer has no idea exists anyway. Okay, so essentially, so this is a really cool technology called Heroku Connect, but Heroku Connect is a product that stands in between Heroku and Salesforce and enables us to bisynchronously and in real time update both the Salesforce database and our custom app database. So what this ends up looking like in practice is this point in our example where we're creating the opportunity in Salesforce, where we actually don't have to write any code to do that. Heroku Connect will automatically sync our custom apps opportunity object to our Salesforce opportunity object. So what this means, this is a really powerful technology that essentially makes the world of custom applications possible for Salesforce organizations. Essentially, any app that we build that's custom and on Heroku, we can automatically, without writing any code, get those objects back into Salesforce and vice versa. So just to recap Heroku, Heroku is, you do need developers to use Heroku. Like I use the platform, it's pointless unless you actually build apps to put on top of Heroku. So you do need developers, but it really is ideal for customer-facing applications. And you're unlimited in your design and the functionality that you have available to you. Really, at the end of the day, if you can't buy something off the shelf, if you can't build something using Lightning or an app builder like that. When all else fails, Heroku is your answer. You can build a custom app, you can put it on Heroku, and you can integrate it right back into Salesforce. So it's very powerful, and at Launchpad Lab, we do this all the time, and we definitely are very big fans of this approach. So I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to my partner, Tom. He's going to talk about a customer of ours called Breadcrumb, and about how essentially we help them with their IoT product and this use Heroku and Heroku Connect. So, yes, sir.
Excellent. Thank you, Ryan. Hi, everyone. I'm Tom. I'm Ryan's partner. So I just want everybody to know, if you have questions, you make sure to ask them. They're in the Crowdcast question. You can ask a question. After I'm done going through this, we will answer any questions that you have. So pass those along. If you have a question later on, our contact information is in here, and we'd love to hear from you. So you can go to launchpadlab.com, or you can email us at the contact information that's on these slides. So as Ryan mentioned, we're going to talk through an app by a team called Breadcrumb. And as I talk through it, make sure if you do have thoughts or questions on how we implemented this, how we created it, let us know. I'm gonna talk through how we do it. So Breadcrumb is a team of people who are bringing tech to the outdoor sports world. They have a lot of experience building brands, huge brands that you've heard of, marketing them in the outdoor sports world, and they really understand the space really well. And they came to us and talked about some of these problems that bow hunters have. Essentially, they lose their arrows, and arrows can be very expensive, and it costs them a lot of time. So when they shoot the arrow at a target, it might go under the leaves or in the snow or something like that, and it's really expensive, and the might spend 10 minutes looking for it, and it's really a problem that they have. They've always sort of dealt with, but it's one that Breadcrumb really wanted to solve. So that's when they came to us and to help them solve that problem. And we started working with their hardware team to create this software that solves this problem. And I think the best thing to do is to show you the video that they just released.
Archery is changing. Real innovation is here. Introducing Breadcrumb Trackable Technology, the world's first Bluetooth trackable knob. How many times have you taken a shot at a target and accidentally missed? Or let's say you connected. Now, the first thing you need to do is find your arrow to immediately begin putting that piece of the puzzle together to find the animal that you worked so hard for. With Breadcrumb Trackable Technology, you can now have a light, sound, and Bluetooth knock that allows you to find your arrow from up to 100 yards away. We're offering you the opportunity to be one of the first to order a limited production run that'll be available and delivered in the fall of 2017. Your chance is now. This is the Breadcrumb Trackable knock. Never lose another arrow again.
Okay. So there you go. So let's talk a little bit about what this is. I think the video explained it pretty well. The knock is the piece that goes in the end of the arrow, as you can see in this picture, the part that lights up. When you shoot the bow and arrow, it connects to the string, and the knock is the piece that connects to that. And when you shoot it, the arrow flies out, and it turns on the sensor in the knock and starts essentially emitting a signal that the app that we created connects to. There's an accelerometer in the app or in the device that we can read from that turns on the device, and our app is constantly listening. From there, we're able to get a signal strength and to know how far away the phone is from the device. this is something that is interesting technology from a in bow hunters, but also in all sorts of IoT, Internet of Things, connected device applications. The other thing that we're able to do is turn on a light and a sound right through the application. Suffice to say, so this is kind of what the packaging looks like, and this is going out over the next few months. As the holidays approach, they're launching this. Suffice to say, this was a huge hit with hunters. So they've launched this video, and about 3 weeks ago, or about a month ago, they had 10 million views in the first 3 days this video went on a single Facebook post. 250,000 comments and shares. It was just, it shows the really the need and the thirst for this type of technology. Essentially, hunters, one of the problems that they came to us with are hunters are thirsting for some sort of technology, and this really was validation, and we were very excited about it. So let's talk a little bit more technically about what really is happening and how this works from a Salesforce standpoint. The device, as we mentioned, it has the chip in it, it has a accelerometer, it has a lot of technology in it. We built a custom mobile application for both iOS and Android, and that connects directly to the device. Now, collecting data, and every time a hunter shoots the arrow, we know where they were at, we know when it was, and have a lot of information, and who it was, and a lot of information about this person. And so the mobile app is backed by a web application that's sitting on top of Heroku. Heroku, as Ryan talked about, is essentially a beefed up hosting platform that Salesforce has, and we are able to host all that. We are able to put all that data in that application. So the cool part about that is now we're able to start painting a detailed picture of the users of this application and of these knocks that nobody else has. We know where they are, when they hunt, whether it's time of day or season, like what state they're in, what county they're in. There is a huge marketing opportunity that we are going to take advantage of in this with this data. So how it really works is we use, as Ryan was talking about Heroku Connect, we use Heroku Connect to do that. We take the data, and we don't want to sync every single time somebody shoots the arrow into Salesforce, but we can take some of the data that we want and directly connect it into Salesforce. So then those marketing messages and automated marketing and the whole sales and marketing team can then take that information and do what they want with it. That's a huge part of the value of doing it on Heroku, because nobody else really has that capability of having that real-time syncing. And it's really valuable, and it's why we chose Heroku to build this on to begin with. So I think that explains a little bit of the architecture and framework and whatnot, and hopefully that can if you guys have any questions about that, I'd love to I'd love you to ask them and to answer anything that you guys have. Ultimately, this has led to a huge sales effort on Breadcrumb. Breadcrumbtech.com is the website if you want to research more. But they're pre-ordering they're pre-ordering the Knox at this point, and so we not only have the cool part about the app is we not only have these Knox, but there's also some location trackers. And is what happens in the app is you're able to share the location with other hunters or outdoorsmen and be able to help each other find arrows and find these locations. So that's really all we have for today. We wanted to keep it short and sort of dig deep into one example, and then open it up if we do have any questions. and kind of go from there. And so we'll take questions now. And yeah, thank you. So by the way, before we take questions, I want to just say we will be at Dreamforce in a few weeks, I guess, at this point. So the first full week in November. So we'd love to hear from you, meet up, and have a conversation. And also, here's our contact information: Tom at launchpadlab.com and Ryan at launchpadlab.com. Or just visit the website and reach out to us, and we'll get back to you. So the first question, there's the question: how do I get started with Heroku Connect, and where can I buy it? So do you want to take that question?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, I think the best way to get started is to reach out honestly to us or to your Salesforce AE. And we can start the discussion and understand. First step is really for a company like us to start to understand what your need is. And then we can help you think through, how the install and just how the process would go with getting it implemented. So definitely reach out to us or reach out to your Salesforce AE to have that discussion. I don't know if you've got anything else to add to that question.
No, I think that's right on. I think that we, a lot of times we're able to help you understand exactly how it would fit into your Salesforce instance. And as you talked about, Ryan, where can this sort of enter into into your equation, whether in what other Salesforce applications are you using, and really extending that Salesforce. And one of the points I wanted to talk about a little bit was Salesforce used to be the CRM, and they've done an amazing job at growing to maybe 30 products now, and really across the whole your whole company, they have things that can help. But the cool part is, by them incorporating Heroku and Heroku Connect, it essentially opens that Salesforce and all their products to every other aspect of the company. And so this is what we do. In this case, it was a very B2C focused Internet of Things application. We don't only do Internet of Things, but this is something that we're very strong at, and we spend a lot of time on these connected devices. So if there's no other questions, we will. We'd love to hear from you, and thank you for tuning in. And we will hopefully talk to you soon. We'd love to chat. Reach out.